時間となりましたので、ただいまより関西ペイントインド事業戦略説明会を開催いたします。本日の司会を担当いたします、関西ペイント IR 広報部の松本です。本日はお忙しい中、関西ペイントインド事業戦略説明会にご参加いただき、誠にありがとうございます。本日の説明会への出席者をご紹介いたします。関西ペイントから取締役常務執行役員最高財務責任者の富岡、経営企画本部長の小沢が出席しております。関西ネロラックペイントよりマネージングダイレクターのプラビン・チャウダリ、チーフファイナンスオフィサーのヤシュ・アフジャ、インダストリアルチーフビジネスオフィサーのアムリット・レキ、デコラティブセールスチーフビジネスオフィサーのラム・メーロートラが出席しております。本日の予定を簡単にご説明いたします。この後、インド事業戦略について富岡とインドマネジメントよりご説明いたします。そして質疑応答に移ります。終了時刻は日本時間の午後5時15分、インド時間の午後1時15分を予定しておりますので、ご質問につきましては、お一人様1問程度とさせていただきたく、ご協力をお願いいたします。本日の説明では、現時点の予想に基づく将来の見通しを述べる場合がございます。それらはすべてリスク並びに不確実性を伴っております。皆様には実際の結果が見通しと異なること、あらかじめご了承ください。それでは、富岡よりご挨拶の後、説明を開始いたします。富岡さん、よろしくお願いいたします。
はい、関西ペイントの富岡です。皆さん、こんにちは。早いものでですね、このインドの戦略説明会、今回で3回目ということになりました。毎回ですね、多大なるご支援をいただいてありがとうございます。で、今回ですね、インドチームと日本チームで非常にいい仕事が、毎回できてるんですけども、特にいい仕事ができたんじゃないかなと思ってまして、やはり関西ペイントがですね、いかに、ユニークな存在であるか、我々が何を考えているかといったところをですね、しっかりとお伝えできるんではないかなというふうに期待をしています。で、今日のプレゼンテーションを、踏まえてですね、皆様、投資家の皆様と非常に、建設的で、お互いにとって実りある、そんな対話ができればとても嬉しいなというふうに思っています。どうぞよろしくお願いいたします。それでは資料の内容に行きたいと思います。いつものように私から少しだけ、主役はインドなので私はあんまり出しゃばらないようにして、少しだけ喋らせてもらいたいと思います。次のスライドをお願いします。次かな。はい。まずですね、いつものように、関西ペイントグループにとって、このインドをどう捉えてますかというところを私の方から説明させていただいてですね、で、その後、プラビン、並びに、ネルラックのメンバーにですね、引き継ぎたいと思います。で、私からですね、ここの最初のスライドをご説明したいと思います。まず、関西ペイントグループにとってインドというのはですね、日本に次ぐ、非常に洗練された、レベルの高い企業だと、日本と同等ぐらいだと思ってます。でもちろん、関西ネルラック自身もですね、非常に長い歴史を持っていて、関西ペイント日本、それから関西ネルラック双方がですね、それぞれの市場で、老舗名門であるということが一つ言えるのかなと思います。そんな背景のある関西ネロラックですね、および関西ペイントグループにおけるインドの役割、これはですね、やっぱり一つの単なるペイントビジネスを売上伸ばしましょう、利益伸ばしましょうという存在ではすでになくてですね、そもそも関西ネロラックというのはですね、インドの市場成長に広く貢献するというミッションを持っているというふうに思っております。これは日本も同様です。なので、我々のミッションとしてはですね、一企業としてどうやって伸びていくかということに加えてですね、それよりも大きな使命として、インドの成長に、経済発展に、どういう形で貢献していけるかということでありますと。そういうことからですね、弊社はですね、関西ネロラックは皆さんご存知のように、建築だけではなくて、自動車と工業といった三本柱を、しっかりと打ち立ててですね、インドの経済発展に、全体としてですね、貢献していくということをしていく使命があるというふうに思っております。で、このスライドの左側に書いてあるグラフですね。これは真ん中の、紫の線というのが、インドの塗料、市場ですね。これをゼロとした場合に、細分化した、建築、自動車、工業、これが年ごとにどのようなパフォーマンスを示しているかということで、当然のようにですね、こう上がったり下がったりありますが、 これらすべてを、統合することでですね、インド全体の成長をカバーしていけるということが見ていただけるのかなと思います。それから特に最近顕著ですけれども、これ過去はですね、建築用塗料市場というのが非常に右肩上がりで良い時代が続いてきましたが、最近はそうでもないと。で、一方で、自動車が急激に成長し、工業用のプレゼンスも非常に上がっているという、このインド全体のダイナミズムですね、これをしっかりと取り込んで、そこに貢献をしていくというのが、我々のやりたいことでありますと。で、その、高マイな使命、すごく高い志、だけではなくてですね、右側のグラフを見ていただければですね、我々はパフォーマンスとしても、非常にいいトラック、レコードを持っているということが言えるかなと思います。なので、過去ですね、なかなか建築市場ばかりに注目が集まってですね、関西ペイントの存在感というのは感じ取っていただけなかったかもしれませんが、ここ数年は、我々の考えていることというのがしっかりと結果に出てきているのもあり、ここから先はですね、関西ペイントグループの時代がインドで来るというふうに信じて疑っておりませんということで、関西ペイントの中では非常に重要な地域でありますし、宝であります。で、その上で、関西ネロラックというのは非常に規律ある成長というのを施行しておりまして、今日はその辺のところをですね、直接プラビンさん、それからインドのメンバーから説明してもらえるちょうどいい機会だと思いますので、その内容に今後移りたいと思います。それではここから先ですね、プラビンさんに引き渡してプレゼンテーションをお願いしたいと思います。プラビンさんお願いします。
Thank you, Tomega-san, and thank you so much all participants for showing interest in Kansai Group and particularly Kansai Nerolac Paints. Thank you so much. Warm welcome again. Next slide, please. So, this is to show, our Kansai Nerolac paint position in Indian market. If you look at under various segments which possibly paint industry plays, we are present in all the segments. Industrial as well as decorative. In industrial also the segment is highly divided, but we play into most of the fields as far as general industrial, high performance and powder is concerned. The noticeable thing is, if you look at our market standing, I think in two of them we are number one, very strong number one, and also in others we are three or touching number two as we progress. So the message from this slide is that while paint is fairly dynamic field and there are some cyclicity which involved in all the businesses. Recently we are seeing that in decorative business, but here is a portfolio that company represents where we are very balanced, and and the infrastructure and the government and all the spending that is happening, and looking at Indian GDP as a whole in the long term, all the segments are likely to play well. So as far as Nerolac is concerned, very sound footing, presence in all the areas. So I think even if there is a cyclicity in one, we'll be obviously covering up with the other areas. And that is why there is a high predictability and stability which our company can offer. And on the right-hand side, you can see the competitions. Obviously, there are some competition who are present, but in terms of size and market standing, I think there's nothing to match Nerolac as a whole as far as all the segments are concerned. Yeah. These are the drivers which Tomeka-san just touched upon. If you look at real GDP growth, which is estimated to be 7 to 8% as we move forward. In fact, this is the track record which we expect to continue for next decade or so. Government is heavily spending infrastructure. Even this budget which they announced, they have increased our capex spending. They've increased by about 10% on a very sizable base of about 11 lakh crore. On the GST, also looking at the past, some slowdown which was seen across consumer as well as in industrial front, especially automotive. Government has taken steps, to reduce GST rates, and obviously that has started showing the result. Automotive, it was very immediate, automotive and electronics. However, in the consumer sector, also we have started some uptick which is coming through now. So I think that's a positive, I would say, step which government has taken to support industry and consumer also. China plus one was the narrative which was being said earlier. I think that still continues, but I think more than that, I think if you look at India standing amongst the global GDP and the growth rates which are getting projected for India, I think more and more multinationals are now relocating the production hubs to India. And in all fields, whether it is chemicals, we see in our value chain, many of our supplier partners are setting up bases in India, which is a clear sign that they have a huge confidence as far as Indian economy growth story is concerned, and also paint as a growth story. I think more multinationals are planning to set up their manufacturing plant in India to support coating industry. So I think looking at all these, I think levers, we are very confident that all the three segments that we represent, auto, industrial, and deco, will have a very, very positive, I would say, traction. And in midterm to long term, I think there's a good growth story which is in the offering now. Yeah. As far as Nerolac is concerned, if you look at last 10 years, I think Kansai Nerolac has delivered very consistent top line and bottom line growth. I think that gives us confidence that we are on a very sound footing as far as company is concerned. Financially very strong, balance sheet is fairly strong. I think we are there to grab every opportunity that comes our way, and I think that growth story which is being showcased for last 10 years, I think is going to continue in future as well. Let me come back to what we presented on 18th of April, some of the key strategic initiatives and our midterm plan aims. So this is what we presented. On the left-hand side in year 23, this is our stack of paint presence and participation, deco, auto, and industrial. Obviously, deco is large, followed by auto and then industrial. As far as our midterm plan is concerned, we are aiming to be highly growth driven as far as the industrial segment is concerned, which includes powder, general industrial, and high performance coating. Auto, obviously, we are a market leader with very large market share. I think that is where we obviously continue to grow. And in fact, for last 3 years also, we are continuously gaining market share in that area through our enhanced service and innovation that we offer to customers. I think we enjoy good trust of all automotive manufacturers in India. So that is what will continue. And in decorative, obviously, we are very serious about this business. But here, we are looking at stabilizing in the current frenzy that is happening in the market. I think it is better to prioritize our investment and our resources and offer the stability of this business. And obviously, profitability is the biggest aim as far as this business is concerned. These are the levers which are presented broadly. 2 areas, growth drivers and operational improvements were presented. And in business drivers, there were 3 areas which we are focusing. And on business enablers, there are 4 areas. I'll touch upon them as we go forward. So some of the high-level progress I would like to brief. So on the portfolio management, we are, this is a green and yellow. So only one area which is talking about agility and swiftness to market needs, which pertains to more of decorative. Decorative being highly, entrenched, business where, you are talking about distribution, you are talking about, influencer management, and influencers are also now constantly increasing, whether it is architect, painters, so on and so forth. So I think a focus on all these areas, obviously, if you're going to stabilize our operation, it will take some time. But I'm very happy looking at the progress of last 9 months. I think your team has done a fantastic job and we are moving in the right direction. I'm sure results will follow as we move forward. I'll touch upon each of them now. So as far as portfolio management is concerned, it's a very clear direction of investing in high growth areas, which is visibly, industrial, followed by auto ARF, and looking at stabilizing the operation and optimizing our deco allocation. We are also forecasting in this, midterm plan that, on the left-hand side, you see some growth rates which are mentioned. We believe that in short term, I would say looking at so many players who are present in the market, I'm sure that is what is likely to happen. But there are areas, this overall, but there are very strong areas that we're witnessing very, very high growth also. If you look at on the right-hand side, these are the, I would say, segmentation that you've done of the market. And we'll be now playing our strategies in these market respectively so that we optimize and, improve our spend efficiency and get the best result out of our investment and efforts. As far as One Kansai initiative is concerned, I think never in the past you have seen this kind of collaboration which you're seeing now. I think with this One Kansai initiative, I think all the group companies are on one platform and tremendous exchange of, I think, business ideas, even technologies are getting discussed both ways. We are offering some technologies and we are also receiving some of the technologies. For example, construction chemical, we have a fairly well-established base. And here, the enemy ready to explore global markets where our companies are already present. So in Africa, Plascon is looking at, taking our construction chemical know-how as well as product, as well as market knowledge and try to enter that market. Likewise, we are looking at Helios Group for agriculture, construction equipment, and railway segment, where they have a presence in a lot of global manufacturers. And here we are looking at customer homologation so that we can easily start business in India. And this, in fact, started bearing the fruit, and we already started the business with this. As far as our parent company is concerned, they have been always supportive, and I think that support will always be there. In fact, it will be more, I think, forthcoming in offering now readily in automotive industrial, as well as looking at overall talent development for our people, where we are talking about a global mobility which will offer to our employees as we move forward as a true MNC. Third pillar that I talked in growth was leveraging past M&A. We did fairly couple of M&As, I think 2 to 3 M&As, out of which significant was this Nerofix business, which plays in the adhesive area of both retail, which is B2C carpenter driven, as well as in industrial area. And they also have sizable good technology as far as construction chemical is concerned. But what we realize is, they are, they're pretty small right now compared to Nerolac as a whole. But if you look at, merging this company with Nerolac, I think there's a lot of synergies which can be brought in through channel, as well as through technology offering, through backend supports, even IT. There are many areas of collaboration which will speed up the growth of Nerofix as a business. So that has been already approved by the board, and now we're going through the government formalities to complete the amalgamation of this business. On cash conversion cycles, I think we are pretty happy with the progress. If you look at it, it was 94 days. Today we are at 82 days as of December end. And I think the quality of inventory and quality of, I think, cash deployment is getting reviewed constantly, and it is the endeavor is to improve it further and best in class as far as our industry is concerned. Now, I'll hand over to our business strategies by segment. So first, I'll call upon Amrut Rekhi, who heads our industrial auto business, followed by Ram Mehrotra, who takes care of our deco business.
Yeah. Thank you, Praveen. After covering the overall macro trends, we will now look at the business strategies for the segments that we service. We begin with the automotive coatings, which represents our largest and core business. Post-COVID, the Indian automotive market has grown significantly, and India is currently the third largest automobile market globally. This growth has been driven primarily by strong demand in the passenger vehicle segment, supported by exports and GST reductions. We have successfully leveraged this market growth based on our strengths in technology, manufacturing capabilities, customer service, and long-standing customer relationships. We have increased our market share by approximately 300 basis points over the last 3 years. While passenger vehicles remain the dominant segment, the two-wheeler and three-wheeler segment is the second most important segment within the automotive universe. India is the largest producer of two-wheelers globally, and we hold a dominant market share in this segment. Our overall market share in two-wheelers is close to 70%. Importantly, this leadership position is well diversified and spread across the entire customer base rather than being concentrated among a few customers. While automotive continues to be our core strength, we are also placing strong strategic emphasis on the non-automotive industrial business. The industrial business comprises of two key product lines, powder coating and liquid performance coating, which we also call it as GI plus HPC, as shown in the slide. Driven by an aggressive and focused approach, we have consistently grown faster than the overall market in the industrial coating business. And we intend to sustain this momentum. Our primary focus areas include high growth segments such as pre-engineered buildings, railways, coil coatings, and construction equipment segments. Our objective is to increase the contribution of industrial coating segment within our overall industrial business, including automotive, and we want to make this industrial business a third pillar on lines of decorative and automotive business. Our superior growth in industrial has been supported by several core strengths. The first is functionality. where we offer a comprehensive and well-accepted product portfolio. The second is our brand strength, with strong recognition for our Japanese origin and high acceptability in the market. These strengths have enabled us to expand our dealer network and significantly enhance the salience of our premium product offerings. We will continue to leverage these advantages to our strength and strengthen our distribution channels and drive premiumization. In conclusion, while we will continue to deliver strong growth in the automotive segment, our strategic priority remains to increase the salience and contribution of non-automotive industrial business within the overall sales portfolio. Thank you, and I hand over to Ram for his talk on the decorative.
Thank you, Amrit. In post-COVID era, we have seen that decorative segment has been very dynamic in India, wherein the number of players in the industry have almost doubled in this period. And these new players, some of them have come up with very heavy investment, deep pockets, cash burn, and also some big takeovers that have happened. So in this scenario, we have still been able to sustain our number 3 position, regardless of our whatever hyper competition has happened, and based on our strategies that we have deployed in the market. The major growth drivers that we had taken to sustain our position in the market, they have been progressing well as per our plans. We had identified areas where we can get better growth by expanding our distribution, increasing more number of dealers. So during this period in this year, we have already added around 3,500 plus dealers. And when it comes to segment, we have identified 3 segments which can give us better growth than the market. So first one is the project segment, which we are growing better than the market as of now. We are expanding geographies, building a pipeline, and a separate range of products have been launched to drive this growth. The second segment had been wood finishes, where again we have increased our product portfolio. We have expanded distribution, and we are focusing on architect and interior designers to build up this segment, and we are very well aligned with the market growth rate. And the last segment which we are trying to build up is the construction chemicals, where we have been going pretty faster, almost 40 to 50% faster than the market growth rate, where we have increased the competitive product portfolio. Then distribution we have expanded, and also we are focusing on architect and interior designer to build up this particular segment. So I think put together, when we see the strategy so far has been working and helps us in sustaining our number 3 position. We have been keeping eye not just only on the number or growth, but also on the profitable part, and we are ensuring that profit is maintained for our investors.
Praveen, you can close your presentation.
So I think, as Tomika-san mentioned earlier, that looking at, India's growth story, which is intact for last many years, and I think it is projected to be 3rd largest economy by 2045 or so. I think that growth story is intact, and that gives us confidence as well as to the group in investing in Indian growth story. And this past history of Kansai Nerolac as a whole, supported by external analysis of the analyst, which is R&D Boss, is also projecting a pretty rapid growth as far as the Indian segment is concerned. Having said that, a current competition actually should not define overall paint sector as a whole. I think looking at a per capita consumption, which is about 1/3 of the global average, I think there's enough headroom. Secondly, the aspiring Indian, our consumer research often shows, that Indian consumers are very, very aspirant now and looking at the best solutions. I think all that also gives us hope that of, premiumization not only in the decorative as well as in industrial, as our infrastructure is improving and looking at the quality of infrastructure which is getting built. Even government institutions are asking for products which stands longer shelf life, longer performance warranty. I think this all needs technologies, proven track records, and which Kansai as a group, I think we have them in plenty. And I think that's the one asset we would like to bring it to the table as far as and be part of this Indian growth story. I'm very confident about barring this short period, maybe another year or so. The long-term story of paint in India is intact, and soon we should be back with GDP plus growth as far as the Indian paint segment is concerned. On competition, competition is also settling now, and though intensity has not gone down as was anticipated in H2, but it has not increased at all. I think that also with that stabilization, I think a new equilibrium or new order, new norm of the business will get restored. And I think we are back to the situation before this competition where we'll be at level playing field and we start playing our game and try to win our market. So thank you so much. Thank you for being patient. I'll now open the floor for question answers and we'll be happy to answer if you have any questions. Thank you.
それでは質疑応答に入ります。ご質問をされる方は、現在のウェビナーの画面下にあります。手を挙げるボタンを押して挙手をお願いいたします。こちらからお名前をお呼びし、ご質問者様のミュートを解除いたしますので、ご承諾の上、ミュートを解除いただき、ご質問をお願いいたします。では、まずはじめに、SMBC 日興証券、新谷様、お願いいたします。
SMBC 日興証券の新谷と申します。ご説明いただきましてありがとうございます。では、1点ということですので、私は競争環境の見通しについて、お伺いしたく思います。建築用と工業用両方という観点でお願いします。もともと建築用に関しては、グラシムが参入してきまして、ただ御社は26年3期の下期に若干一巡するような見方を示していました。で、ただ、一方では、例えば競合がですね、一部事業買収を行ってですね、12月に買収を完了しています。で、そちらの方ですと、建築用だけでなくて、工業用塗料のポートフォリオも手に入れていまして、インドで将来的に3位、あるいは2位を目指すような意気込みも示していますので、今後、建築用だけでなくて、工業用についても、そういった競争が激しくなる可能性がないのか、ところについて、御社の見立てを教えていただければと思います。よろしくお願いいたします。
Thank you, Shantanu-san. So as far as competition forecast is concerned, intensity in the short term will remain strong. However, the scale at which it was increasing is not happening now. So I think, there is a stability as far as the intensity is concerned, which is elevated, but now it is not increasing further. So as far as growth rates are concerned, paint industry is growing as a whole. But that growth is obviously going to small little players which have entered the market, and that's why we see this listed companies, showing little lower growth. But that doesn't mean paint industry is not growing. Paint industry is growing, and I'm sure as I mentioned earlier, once this intensity is already stabilized, and now as we enter the next phase, I think we'll start seeing the recovery of the growth, which are already started seeing after month of October. So that is as far as competition and decorative is concerned. In industrial, I think you are referring to acquisition of Exo by JSW, and that part of the industrial business which has gone to JSW is what I think you are referring to, if I'm correct. So indeed, competition, whenever there is a growth story being seen and growth opportunity, obviously there will be competition which will enter. But in industrial, I think it is not only about having the ready-made business, but it is also about having entire supply chain, value chain setup. It is also about technology offering which we can give it to a customer. It is also about constant line supports and constant presence in the market which is required, and also showcasing global track records. I think this all will take a lot of time. It's not easy to just start the business, because here it is performance driven, not purely on the price. So I think that is one definite aspect where Kansai is very strong. We have 8 manufacturing locations. We have more than 200 to 300 people deployed on the field lines, which are technically competent, which manages our lines. customer lines, and at this speed at which our customers are delivering products, we have not had any problem where customer has suffered in delivery because of Nerolac's supply or quality problem. I think that is the bigger, I would say, certificate to a company, which will ensure that our business is protected. Having said that, it is not that we are not ready for the competition. I think competition will come, competition will go. But I think with a strong foundation, as I mentioned earlier, Kansai is fully prepared in offering best-in-class products as we go forward. And the other industrial, as I mentioned earlier, there are many segments which are there. Though we are number one or number three in some of the segments, we are still not explored many segments where there is a growth opportunity which is coming. Now, through our global network, we are realizing that there is further products and technology that we can offer to these segments also. So that is another, I would say, numerical expansion of segments will also take place. So I think one is maintaining and extracting more from our existing segment, and also expanding our segments. I think both of these actions obviously will ensure that growth continues. So that is as far as industry is concerned. On construction chemical, I think that's a growing area. I think there was some survey which shows that only 3 out of 10 homes or institutions or buildings are using construction chemical, which means that again there is a 3 times growth potential which is there. And as awareness is increasing, I think there are many construction sites which we see construction chemical is getting used, which is in a new construction phase. The second area is also repair and maintenance, because as India is obviously a tropical country, and where there's a weather which is pretty harsh, or sometimes it is cold, there's a heavy rain also, we find that construction sometimes gives away, and there are leakage problems which come. So I think that repair segment is also exploding now. So even if there are more players, I think there's enough for each player really to encash as far as this market is concerned. And I think here also we had 2 acquisitions. One is Nerofix, which I mentioned. Other one was Perma. Both have fantastic range of construction chemical products and technologies. I think that is now what we'll bring to the table, and we'll try to grow in that segment. Thank you.
詳細にありがとうございました。以上になります。
ありがとうございました。続いて CLSA 証券、張様、お願いいたします。
はい、CLSA 証券長です。よろしくお願いします。私の方からはですね、ちょっと、まずは1点でございましてはですね、ちょっとそのインドの自動車についてはですね、昨年10月以降はですね、かなり GST 減税の効果が出てきまして、イヤーイヤーで2割ぐらいの成長が続いてきましてはですね、ただ一方はですね、かなりどうですかね、その需要はですね、多分2割ずっと上がっていくっていうのを思わなくて、徐々に今年の後半ぐらいからですね、多分ベースも高くなってきますので、しかもですね、一部なんかどうですかね、GST 減税前の買い控えの方もちょっと10月以降ずれてきましたんで、ちょっと、結論としては中長期のインドの自動車成長の方はですね、例えば、10% ぐらいで見た方がいいなのか、あるいは 5% から 10% なのか、そのあたりちょっとヒントをいただければ幸いです。これが1点目です。
Yeah. Yes, thanks, San. So, as far as auto is concerned, you are right. After October GST changes, the production has picked up. And also, while production has picked up, which is what reflects in our paint sale, but if you look at, in fact, the sale on their side also is quite healthy. And we are seeing it continuously being sustained as far as this quarter is also concerned. Now, having said this, obviously, as we enter next year, towards second half, obviously, there will be base effect. And, there will be obviously, this push that we got or support that we got because of GST may not exist. However, I think the Automobile Association is still predicting robust growth as far as next year is concerned. Now, other supporting, I would say, fact is that, all the automotive companies in India are investing heavily in the capacities. In fact, the projection that we have got is actually they are going to double their production capacity by 2030. I think if that's the way forward, I think in 5 years, if you are adding another, 50% of the capacity, I'm sure the growth rate even they are expecting is going to be pretty good. So that is the second support in terms of sustained growth levels. Numbers can be, it can vary. It can be 8%, 10%, 11%. That depends on the, I think, overall situation. But growth rate will be pretty healthy is what indication you have got. The third, I would say, support is in terms of the paint surface itself. So end of the day, it is a vehicle which gets made, but what size of vehicle gets made also determines the paint consumption. If you look at the Indian automobile, I would say construct, I think small cars used to dominate largely till I would say 3-4 years back. But today, I think all SUVs and large cars, 7-seaters are also at the flavor now. So if you look at the percentage of, I think, mix percentage, I think this large car is increasing in the percentage of sale of my customers, which means that there is a more paintable surface which is available for paint. So I think I won't be surprised if we grow little bit higher than the paint automotive production. So that's the third, which is a supporting factor for auto. And the fourth is the export, which is now taking place from India. So all the major OEMs are now actually making India as an export hub, and we are seeing increasing percentage of their sale coming from export now, which offers us further opportunities. So I think these four factors, I would say, will tell us that while numbers will vary quarter on quarter, year on year, but I think the long-term growth trajectory for auto will be pretty healthy. Thank you.
はい、ありがとうございました。ちょっとその中長期の各社の労働状況と、そうですね、あとは輸出のところとかですね、あるいはその車の大型化などは理解をしました。ありました。よろしければちょっと2点目についてはですね、直近どうですかね、その一般的にその多くの会社が言われているコラシムさんからの、少し競争のやり方がちょっと変わってきたみたいな話がございまして、その変わってきた背景が、何があるかっていうのところにつきましては、ちょっと他社のことですが、ちょっと申し訳ないんですけど、それがちょっと他社が、電線関係に進出されているので、それでちょっと塗料関連で少しその、投資を減らしているのか、あるいはその、根本的にはですね、そのマージンがあんまり芳しくないので、多少そのどうですかね、その競争の規律が働いているのかみたいなところがございまして、ちょっと実際その競争がやや、どうですかね、その激化してない、あるいはその緩和されているような背景についてはですね、ちょっとご説明していただければ幸いです。以上です。
If I understand your question correctly, I think you're referring to nature of competition in India and whether people are focusing on growth versus market share versus profitability. So I think my answer, if I give only one answer, it won't be doing a justice to all the segments where we are present, frankly. So I think see, competition topic largely in Indian paint comes mainly from decorative point of view because of recent entry of large conglomerate who is investing heavily, and they're hoping that in some years they'll make money, and that is what investment is happening. If you look at the way we fight market, I think is not at all different than what what they are doing is not at all different than what we have done for so many years. I think so. Their approach towards all of that is exactly similar, and I think with a growing market, obviously with money being poured, I'm sure there'll be some stakes which can always, some share which can always one can grab. The question remains is with that approach, which is a similar approach, doing more than what we are doing, is that enough, or a differentiation is enough? I think that's one area which will be debated for long, and we'll only know answer after a couple of years when we reflect as to what happened to our deco segment. So I think strategy being same, it's being, I think, more of same being done at a cost, and it remains to be seen, whether it will bear fruit as we move forward. Now, as far as industry is concerned, obviously, it is very important that there are players who play at the bottom of pyramid, and obviously there is margin, which is the clear pressure for those, I would say, players who engage in that. As far as MNC like us is concerned, the whole idea is premiumization and moving up the channel and offering more to the customer. I think, and obviously, trying to enter and try to gain market share in those niches and those profitable areas. So I think we are also, and so if you look at on all our areas, whether it is industrial, auto, as well as decorative, we are trying to be very selective, differentiated, and obviously creating niches for ourselves, which are going to be large enough for us to really manage and doing true justice to, I think, being a multinational who can offer technology products. I think that's the way we would like to define the way we'll play in the market, and accordingly, whoever competition then comes, then obviously we'll face them. But as of now, in industrial, we are still very confident that there's a long time where competition can threaten us going forward.
はい、聞こえました。私の方からは以上です。ありがとうございました。
Thank you.
続いて UBS 証券、大村様、お願いいたします。
UBS 証券の大村です。よろしくお願いします。私からは、インド事業のですね、コスト削減余地に関してお伺いしたいんですけれども、これまで強い成長ストーリーをお示しいただきましたけれども、実際インドの事業が、先ほど日本に次いで、もしくは同等のですね、洗練された企業だというふうにおっしゃってましたけれども、利益率に関して、見てみると、やはり数パーセントポイント、インドの方が低いですし、グローバルの他の拠点と比べてもアジアにはまだ劣っている。かつ、過去の改善っていう観点で見ても、インドは改善が止まっているのかなというふうに思うんですけれども、そのあたり、この利益、収益性を向上させる策っていうのは、このトップラインを伸ばす以外にどういったことを今考えられているか、その余地がどこら辺にあるのかっていうのをお聞かせください。よろしくお願いします。
So, I think gross margin is also a function of a mix. So historically, if you compare Indian businesses, I think you'll see higher gross margin because of their having higher share in the decorative business. Having said that, the investment which obviously are required for decorative business, which comes below gross margin, are very, very high. As far as our mix is concerned, obviously we are more than 50% now in industrial and about 45 to 50% in decorative. I think that is why you will find my gross margin being very different and not comparable, I would say, to the Indian businesses. Now, if you look at the endeavor to improve our gross margin as well as overall profitability, is already stated in my midterm plan that it is our endeavor to increase it by another 200 basis points as we move forward. And that will obviously come through two levers. One is my operational efficiency improvement, as well as through the premiumization and entering into new segment and trying to grow faster and try to, I would say, optimize my expenses on the sales SGA side. So I think these are the two main levers where I'm trying to grow into niches and try to premiumize. At the same time, managing my spends and making them more effective when we deploy it, I think will be the second lever. And I think both of these together, I think should give me a higher margin as we move forward in this midterm plan.
わかりました。ありがとうございます。ということで、現状、御社が、ミッドターンプランで、目指されているものに、おおむね、オントラックで推移しているというふうに理解しておいてよろしいでしょうか。
Yes.
はい、ありがとうございます。
Thank you, Guru.
続いて野村証券、岡崎様、お願いいたします。
野村証券の岡崎です。本日はありがとうございます。デコラティブのところでですね、お伺いしたいんですけれども、スライドの23ページにですね、セグメントでプロジェクトとウッドフィニッシュとコンストラクションケミカルズいただいているんですが、これデコラティブの売上の中でですね、それぞれ現状の売上の比率っていうのはどれぐらいのイメージなのかというのをいただけますでしょうか。
Yeah. So as far as I would say in totality, I think it should be closer to about 15% now. These segments are concerned. In fact, in all the three areas, we have been slightly delayed in terms of our investment in this area, which we ramped up now in last 3 to 4 years. And I think as a percentage, it is going to be about 50% as a whole of these segments.
それぞれ15%ということでいいですか？ 3 つ足せば45%ということでいいですか？
No. Yeah. So out of my decorative business, this is 15%, and 45% roughly is about my total decorative business out of my total company turnover.
ございます。で、補足でですね、それ以外の 85% は、先ほどグラシムの少しお話
That comes from a retail channel. So retail is the area where I deal with my distributor and dealers. That is the area, that is the channel that I get my business.
そうですね。で、そこの、残りの 85% はですね、そのグラシムなどが少し、競争が緩和しているという話はある一方でですね、やっぱりアクゾですとか、あとは、アジアンペインツなどもですね、それなりに競争が厳しい状況が続くと思うんですけれども、この、いわゆる既存の事業に対するその取り組みっていうんでしょうかね、競争が厳しいところに対してどういう今、施策を考えていらっしゃるかというところをいただいてもいいでしょうか。以上です。
Yes. So, if you look at the structure of our industry, I think all the players have very different percentages for each of this business. So everyone is in project, everyone is in wood and construction chemical, but with a different degree of focus. So I think, and in retail also, because everyone has to play that part, reaching out to dealer directly to sell our products. So that is there with everyone. Now, having said that, this competition which has recently entered last year or so, I think obviously, they are penetrating in all the areas. As far as we are concerned, I think it is very critical for us to see in India, though overall we are number 3, there are areas which are shown in that segmentation matrix, that there are areas we are very, very strong. I mean, we are like number 1, number 2 there in that area, those zones, those towns. So I think which means, that for us, I think it is important to really work on these areas in terms of complete 360-degree approach, where we look at all the influencers, we are looking at the consumer activations, we are looking at, our dealer, both extraction as well as expanding a network. So all that one will do on all India basis, obviously we'll be doing in our strong markets. And luckily for us in India, every state or every zone is growing. So there's nothing like, I'm at a disadvantage compared to one zone versus other zone. So where we are strong, I think it makes sense for us to really grow there because our brand awareness, brand loyalty is very, very strong. So my investments are clearly in these areas where we are completely doing over-indexing and we're investing heavily. And investment is not only in one area, but it is across the ecosystem of this decorative business. So I think that is showing the result. And I think, as I mentioned, as competition intensity is settling and there, I would say all the initial arsenals are now coming to a stage where it is stabilized. I think now we start seeing the real picture and the growth which is coming back to us. And we are already, as I mentioned earlier, from October, we are seeing the change compared to the past. And I think that trajectory, we are hoping that it will continue as we move forward also.
はい、マーケット自体が安定化しつつあるということがよく理解できました。以上です。ありがとうございます。
Thank you, Zaki-san.
Thank you.
続いて、マッコーリーのメータ様、お願いいたします。
Yeah, hi team. This is Avi Mehta from Macquarie. So I just had a few questions. First on the margin front. Now, as a concept, your mix is moving towards industrial and automotive in the midterm plan. And in that industrial growth, you will also need to expand into new categories and hence that will need investments. So wanted to just understand, how do you balance the equation? Because our belief or our understanding is that industrial and automotive are lower margin businesses versus decorative. So if you could just help us appreciate how do you see margin expansion despite the mix related headwinds and the need for investments?
Right. Thanks, Avi. As so as far as industrial margin concerns are concerned, I agree that in the past, definitely that was the story. But while we can't disclose the segment information because of nature of the business, but I think it is quite healthy now, and I think as we move forward, I think you'll see the real picture emerging. I think maybe in some time. I think investments are concerned. As far as investments are concerned, where you talked about how do we invest as well as show better margins. So obviously we are choosing segments which means that we are offering a global solution, which are not which calls for I think pricing which is not what is being offered right now. I would say which is at a bottom of pyramid or low end kind of a thing. So obviously we are choosing those segments. Team is extremely conscious about this mix, and I think that is the way we would like to maintain and grow the business as far as industry is also concerned. And as far as auto is concerned, I think with our leadership coming, I think our extraction is far better. And I think my recovery of overheads is far better there. And as this growth story will continue, I think that will further improve as we go forward as far as overhead recovery is concerned. On the investment part, I think in the short term, I don't see any need of large capital investments in this area. We have a capacity. There will be some brownfield expansion which might be required. So that obviously will be taken care through a normal capex. So there's nothing great, I would say, investment which will be required as far as industrial in capital is concerned. On the manpower front, I think large part of deployment has already happened this year. And with that, you are seeing, we are, despite this heavy competition going across in decorative, you are seeing my EBITDA margin sustaining about 30%. So I think which shows that, I think we have been pretty well, I think, good in managing our overheads, and we have always looked at spend and the outcome very, very carefully. And I think that is the approach we would also like to take as we move forward. So having done this investment, no fresh capex required, my premiumization strategy, choosing the segment very carefully, and overall industrial mix becoming slightly better in terms of profitability. I think this gives us confidence that I think in the near term, I think we'll see this trajectory changing, and the belief that indeed industry is also go-to area, and Nerolac is really perfecting it.
Got it, sir. Got it. And so just the second bit is on the decorative side, just an appreciation. This chart is extremely useful, the state-wise. It does suggest that you are choosing battles largely in North and East India. Is that understanding correct? That is where you will be largely focused on the decorative side? And any thoughts on how do you look at this once now that the competition has stabilized, say 2 years down the line? How does this still fit in the Kansai model, and how do you see that kind of panning out? Thank you.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yes, so this is showing the I would say current picture, but this doesn't mean at all that in the bottom two, West and South, actually will be like giving up. Not at all. I think this story is at zone level. Then if you go to state and then towns, I think the story is very, very different as you move down the ladder. And when we did this analysis, we were surprised looking at some of the town data with our position, even in the weak overall zone market. I think that is the area we would like to explore. And that is where investments will go. And once we do that, I think I would say this is maybe another 2 to 3 year strategy. I don't think beyond this we will take this approach. I think once competition settles, I think it will be pan-India as possibly we were doing it a couple of years back. But right now it is very important for us to stabilize and secure that town and grow in that town, and a lot of learning which comes in that zone or in that state. I think that is very easy to obviously to horizontally deploy. So our approach is like that. Primarily, yes, this chart might suggest that I'll over-index on certain zones or certain states. That is, I would say, generally yes. But I think we have done a fairly town level working where we are going to invest at a town level, which will obviously can't be presented here because there are more than 5,000 towns. But obviously, that's the approach which is going forward. So we are selective, we are very focused, and we are investing where obviously results are relatively easier to come for us. I think that is our midterm approach. Suppose that obviously as we define our 19 midterm plan, obviously strategies might change looking at the situation then. So I think that is how I would like to summarize.
Got it, sir. Thank you very much for the answer.
Thank you, Abhi.
続いて、野村のシャー様、お願いいたします。
Hi, sir. Thank you for taking my question. And firstly, congrats on a fantastic performance in auto and industrial segment. So my question firstly is in the auto and industrial segment. Like you have shared the breakup of your market share for the two-wheeler and three-wheeler segments. If you can throw some insights on your market share across players that you have in the four-wheeler segment as well. So that's first. And within auto, like you highlighted that SUVs are seeing a higher growth rate and your paintable area is increasing, which will drive further volume growth for us. How should one think about your average selling prices for these auto paints, given that the cars are much more better premium? So will this also drive your ASPs higher? And how is that trend shaping up in the recent past? Some insights on that. So that's my first question.
Right, yeah, thank you. So as far as a two-wheeler, what we shared, I think our four-wheeler, while we can't give exact numbers, but I think when we say leading position, I think it is quite sizable, and overall, I think we'll be 50% plus as far as auto is concerned. So that is, I would say, then some arithmetic we can do that suffice. And as far as the ASP point is concerned, yes, I think mix is changing. Surface area obviously will give me volume, but as far as quality of paint is concerned, I think there is while white still dominates, but the premiumness of metallic shade is improving, and obviously my pricing to that is also is quite sizable and better than what it was. So other important thing is also amount of value engineering we do for our customers, which is unmatched, I would say, quality and competitive advantage which we have. So with our technical capability, we help our customer also to perform better on the line in terms of higher transfer efficiencies, and obviously looking at their own energy consumption, etc. So I think as far as volume value gap is concerned, I think it is fairly stable. Though it is improving, and I think definitely it is not at the inflation rate, but slightly less than inflation rate. But definitely, I am seeing the ASP improving because of mix change that is happening.
Got it. Thank you for that. So my second question is on the industrial segment, and that segment seems to be in your midterm plan, seems to be having the highest growth rate. So wanted to understand a little more deeper strategy here. What segments are you thinking that you can expand into? How are you planning to improve your number 3 position in your liquid coatings or performance coatings to higher? You are already number 1 in powder, we know that. But how can you drive your market share higher and become number 1 in those? Some insights on those will be useful. Thank you. That's all from my side.
Thank you.
Yeah, Amir. So I'll answer in two parts. As you know, our industrial business is divided into two parts, powder and liquid. On the powder side, we have been a leader for the last more than 2 decades, a strong leadership in this segment. And, what is helping us is the fact that there is a good growth in the focus segments that we have. You can see furnitures are doing very well in the country. Electrical goods are doing very well. Construction equipment is doing very well. And also in powder, a significant amount of powder is also going to automotive now. So all this is helping us maintain our leadership position there, as well as grow better than the market, in terms of powder. So that is the first focus area, and to build on our strength in powder. The second part is the liquid part, where bulk of our focus is there currently. This presents a very big opportunity for us because of the huge spend that the government is doing in terms of infra, and that has got a direct correlation with the increased consumption of paint. Here we've identified, as you can see in the slide as well, pre-engineered buildings, which are seeing a very good traction. Railways, because the entire network is being upgraded. Coil coating, a lot of traction is there in that. Plus, there are many other segments such as bridges and airports, etc. So we have built a focus team around these key segments, and this gives us a very good opportunity to grow in these particular segments which we've identified. So there is a clear consolidation in powder and clear, aggressive growth planned in the liquid side.
Got it, sir. Thank you and wishing you all the very best.
Thank you.
続いて、ゴーシーさん、お願いいたします。
Hi, thanks for the opportunity. My question is for both the members of the parent company and the management team of Kansai Nerolac. Given that we are looking to sort of stabilize the decorative business and treat it as a cash cow, have you considered thinking of divesting the segment and focusing all management bandwidth on what seems to be the more exciting part of the business, given you're saying the production will double for cars and vehicles in India, and you are absolutely dominant in that segment? Just wanted to hear your thoughts on how or whether these options are discussed and evaluated. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Naren, for the questions. I think each, I would say, strategy sessions, we look at carefully each segment, each business segment, as well as sub-segment of that in terms of attractiveness and what is our company strength. Now, if you look at Nerolac's decorative strength, which is a brand which is there for, I would say, 6-7 decades now, even amidst this competition, which is spending huge amount of money, our brand recall is still number 2. And I think that recall and that brand which got established, I think there is enough opportunity. Even now, we believe that I think certain basic things, if we are now further done well and enhanced and focused, I'm sure that results will come by. I think for last, I would say 5 to 6 months, I think that gives us confidence that our direction is right. I think it's just a matter of seeing this whole thing getting settled. And real true picture comes out when real numbers are on the table for all, not only for 4 listed companies or 5 listed companies, but for all. I think that is when the picture will come. So I think internally we have unofficial data, and I believe that there's no reason for now really to Nerolac to consider any of these options. And in industrial, I think as far as auto is concerned, very established business, very focused teams, and I would say autonomously they are working. I think as far as technology deployments are concerned, I think it's a model which I believe is running well and perfected by us. Obviously, every year there are incremental improvements for us to stay ahead. As a leader, everyone will do that, and we are also absolutely doing that. So I think as far as bandwidth is concerned, yes, I think there is a requirement which is very high as far as decorative is concerned now because of high competitive intensity. And to that extent, our resources are also deployed, which will take care of them absorbing that bandwidth. And as other resources are deployed in the industrial segment, where obviously there are growth aspirations. All in all, looking at our strategy of having a balanced portfolio, because every business I would say is cyclical, and though we try to protect through this 3-4 levers, I think for a company, I think there's a unique position to be present in all the 3 areas. And confidence which offers through our network reach, our brand confidence, our dealer influence connect, on the ground, feedbacks that we get, I think makes us believe even now that I think it's a business for Nerolac to stay. and there is no great investment required in terms of brand awareness and brand recall, which is required at least for some time. So in the shouting which is going on right now in the market, I think it is better to be focused and try to get maximum rather than trying to do a carpet bombing. So I think evaluations are constant, but as of now, my belief is I don't think that's the call one would like to take.
Great. Thank you. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Navin.
それでは追加のご質問がないようですので、質疑応答を終了させていただきます。それではこれにて関西ペイントインド事業戦略説明会を終了いたします。本日の説明会について皆様のご感想を伺うため、ウェビナー終了後の画面に簡単なアンケートが表示されますので、ご協力いただけますと幸いです。本日はご参加いただき誠にありがとうございました。
ありがとうございました。
ありがとうございました。
Thank you.
Thank you.